Baldosa U. What is the Baldosa U?
Well, sometimes an N or a U. This is such a fun exercise, and it's so informative. I was at a festival, and Yanina and Neri showed this exercise where we take one half of Baldosa, basically just a square, and then we work with our partner. Well, it'll be easier if I simply show it.
I think, yes.
So I can ask my partner to step across me, and then beside, across, and beside. Okay, that seems pretty simple. What else can we do with that?
I am, by the way, making the U. I'm the one making the U in this particular set.
Right, it's a U, but we can also do it. Suppose I want my partner to stay in place while I make the U. And we'll talk about how those are actually used in the dance. But before we get to that, there's a fun aspect to that. We don't have to do just that simple U. If that's all it was, that'd be
That's not very interesting.
a pretty short session. But what if at each point we had a choice of pivoting our partner, sitting our partner, so instead of a front crossing step, a back crossing step, or repeat the front crossing step, and maybe a pivot and weight change. So we're wanting to, at each point, figure out what else can we do at that point. We know that we can pause, we can continue doing what we were doing, or we can do something different. We can pivot, or we can do a weight change.
Pivot or a weight change are your options at those different points. One of the things that I like about this is how much it informs you of your center light and the need for your upper body to continually be tracking that partner as they travel to either side and across. And both partners need to be focusing on their center light and making sure to the best of their abilities that they are keeping that center light tracking the partner.
Exactly. So, in addition to the fun of just switching it up at each moment, we can gamify it, but just a moment. Where this is so valuable is the subtlety of being able to lead a movement without being able to step around. We've talked about geometry to get into it. Well, let's give an example. So here, the easiest thing to do is a front crossing step. But suppose I wanted my partner to do a back crossing step. Well, ordinarily we talked about how I can surround my partner, and that makes it very easy. We're just rotating our cylinder. But if we're not using that geometry, it requires us to be much more intentional about what's happening in the embrace, and as Tina pointed out, with our center light as a guide to that movement.
Mm-hmm. This also can be lovely for figuring out the subtle movements that you can make within your body, kind of using those four corners, using the rib cage to actually begin to move that movement, especially when you're wanting to move your partner across your body and give them the space to do so. We oftentimes don't step with them because we want to give them space, but figuring out that, oh, if I can identify this rib cage movement to bring my partner across, it can bring the dance to a much more subtle level, and then you get that mysterious, how did they do that kind of feel.
It can make our leading so much more clear and comfortable because it rather forces us to be very intentional about our movement. So if I'm going to stay in place, but I want my partner to step over there, I'm not simply going to move my partner like this. That would not be pleasant. If, however, I've done that wind up and intention to move, I sort of fake out my partner, that they feel that, oh, we're getting ready to take a step. I don't actually need to take the step. I can just pretend like it was going to.
So as you're playing around with this, we encourage you to get into positions that are not as common as you would normally get into. And how do we need to adjust or lead this movement to actually make it comfortable?
And that would be a case where we can, in a previous video, we talked about solving problems. If things are not feeling clear and comfortable, what can we do? If we get into a position like this one we said would be challenging, where we want a back cross but I'm not able to surround my partner, we can ask our partner to lead themselves. What do they need to do to make that happen? And then I'll just passively feel what's happening. And okay, so I felt this sort of shifting the weight and then sending back here. That becomes very clear to me. And then when we
Lovely.
oh, it works.
So by using the Baldosa U, you can begin to identify, how do I just move my partner around me? How do I keep my partner still while I move around them? And also, what are the different combinations by including a weight change or a pivot at each one of those decision-making points to change things up?
Now the game aspect.
Yes, we gotta have a game.
What we can do is challenge each other. It will develop our skill in being able to adjust quickly to changing circumstances. So we're dancing on the floor, somebody steps in our path that we were intending to use. Or we hear something in the music that we hadn't quite expected, or something new that we want to take advantage of, so we want to make an adjustment and do a certain movement. What we can do here is our partner, just before we're ready to take the step, they can call out either front, back, open, and I will
Back.
and if you call it
Back.
make it harder. Make it
Make it
harder.
harder. Dang, I'm not making it hard enough. I thought that would be hard on the open step. Okay, front cross. So if you notice, Arjun identified that I had to make a weight change first before being free to step in that front cross position. Those are the little things that learning what needs to happen to make a move work. We're challenging them. I like it. Open. Front.
That's right.
So don't be afraid to implement those weight changes if it seems like, wait a second, my partner's not on the correct foot to do that. They can very quickly after a simple weight change. And asking yourself, well, how do I lead a weight change in this position right here? Can also inform you on those little subtleties that makes the dance magical.
Yeah. So we can have fun and be really working on some important skills for the dance.
We look forward to seeing what creative things you come up with the Baldosa U. Feel free to join us over on gameoftango.com, where you can get registered, load up your video so we can see what creative things you come up with. Until then, abrazos.